Hi, welcome back to my box of common questions, issues, concerns that I hear from fellow low energy entrepreneurs and content creators about content creation. So we're going to pick one. I can only use one hand right now because my other one is occupied petting my dog. Okay, he wanted to join us for today. All right, so I have to pick this one-handed, which is actually harder than it should be. Okay, let's do this green one. Yeah, we're sniffing it. Okay. Ooh, okay. What if I'm too anxious to make new content? Okay, so, all right. So anxiety with content is like such a common thing that I experience, that my clients experience. There's just so much that can make us feel anxious, right? Like being seen on the internet is fucking vulnerable, and especially then if you are like launching or you're like trying to sell or market something, like that can add its own like layer of just anxiety of like, oh my gosh, like what if nobody signs up? What if people say no? What if people hate it? What if people unfollow me? A conversation I've had so many times with folks is the conversation around like, well, what if people like from my real life see this? Like, I'm just like not comfortable with that. And like, I am still navigating that and still dealing with that in many, many ways. So there's a lot that can make us feel anxious about creating content and putting it on the internet. And I absolutely never want you to feel like you feeling anxious about putting yourself on the World Wide Web for anyone to potentially see and say whatever or do whatever. Like, if you feel anxious about that, like, that's not a mindset block. That's not like you just need to like affirmation your way out of it. I mean, if that's the process that like helps like regulate you a little bit more and nourish you, great. I love that. And also I just want to validate to you that like being anxious about this stuff is like makes sense. Like it would be weird for us to not feel this anxiety about putting ourselves out there, and just being seen in this capacity. So if you're in this is where like if we were working one-on-one together, this would be like, okay, case by case, we could kind of talk about like, okay, does this feel like a spike in anxiety? Does this feel like different anxiety? Or is it more of like a general baseline level of, anxiety that you kind of deal with day to day? A lot of times, the anxiety and overwhelm can definitely happen when like you're starting something new for obvious reasons, or you're coming back after like taking a break, which that's like a whole other topic that we could get into. Like if you're not in your flow of creating, getting started can be so difficult with content, with anything in life. So if you've been out of flow or you've just never gotten into a content flow and you feel like you're kind of like starting new content again and it's bringing up a lot of anxiety, some invitations that I have for you to consider are there like, again, releasing that all or nothing thinking. This like almost always comes up, the all or nothing thinking piece. Creating new content doesn't have to mean creating a full-blown hour-long YouTube video or podcast episode or something like that. Like it could be posting a picture of your coffee on your Instagram stories. Like that counts. If you need to hear someone say that counts, I will be that person to say that counts. It could be like new content could be, a carousel of slides from different old posts that you've like put together to do a new collection, of slides and a new carousel or something like that. Or, it could be a snippet from an old video that you're now like reusing, but you're shortening it to just talk about this like one section or something like that. Like new content doesn't have to mean you are starting from scratch, that you are starting from square one. It could be reusing old content. And again, finding those kind of like baby step ways to just sort of like gently dip your toe in the water of like putting yourself back out there on the internet, without having to jump full into the deep end. That is allowed. Taking it one step at a time will help you to sort of slowly acclimate just like getting into a pool and it's cold, like letting yourself get slowly used to the water instead of jumping into the deep end. Some people prefer just jumping into the deep end. And if that's you, great, love that for you. If that doesn't work for you, if that's too much too soon for you in your nervous system, you can take it one step at a time by doing like little pieces of either reused content or making your new content like super, super, super basic. And like low key and gentle as possible. This is something that we could work on one-on-one together in my content creation reset offer, where we'll do a 2-hour Zoom strategy session. I get shit done in strategy sessions. I love it. It takes a lot of energy from me, which is why I'll never book more than one in a day. But we get shit done. We can make a lot of plans. We can come up with a lot of ideas to make you feel more certain, less, I love getting people to a place where they don't feel like they're starting from square one every time they open up their phone to post something on the internet. And that's a major thing that we can accomplish in our strategy session. And then you'll have a few weeks of messaging support with me so that we can kind of like tweak it as you go and do whatever we came up with in the strategy session in real time. And you get a couple of other resources to help just make content creation a little less overwhelming, a little less stressful, and things to help yourself for when anxiety comes up. I'm not here to tell you that we're going to get rid of your anxiety. That's not my place. That's not my scope of practice. And also, I don't think that's realistic to promise. I'm here to say that I can help you have better tools or more options for things to do to support yourself and continue to create when anxiety continues to come up.